I'm Jay Brenner. I'm with Major Lindsey Africa's Interim Legal Talent Group based in Texas. And this is a general update of what we're seeing in the market 5 months, almost 6 months into 2024. As I talk to general counsels throughout this territory, we're seeing an environment where going into the year, there was all this anticipation of rate cuts and tremendous activity. And while we are seeing a steady stream of opportunities, certainly in the interim space, it hasn't gone crazy the way we thought it might at the beginning of the year. So more of a steady stream of activity as opposed to certainly not seeing the peaks of COVID from a few years ago. We are seeing a lot in commercial. We're seeing a lot in M&A, particularly in the energy space here in Texas. We continue to see a lot of need in the compliance space, data privacy. So we see strategic uses of interim legal talent. Some of that is because organizations are in more of a hiring freeze. Even organizations that are doing well, as one GC put it to me a few months ago, nobody wants the spotlight of asking for significant headcount, but the work is there, which is driving a lot of demand in the interim legal talent space. So I would call it more of a strategic curiosity and a strategic usage of interim legal talent. Companies that are in transaction mode, maybe working their way towards another deal, holding back some M&A, so there's some pent-up demand in the M&A space. We're seeing those companies active in terms of bringing in resources to spearhead their next deal or get ready for their next deal. There's still a decent amount of conversation around return to office, but what we've seen in the last 6 months to a year is companies have settled on a strategy. So a lot of companies are 5 days in, particularly in this market in Texas. We're seeing companies 5 days in. We're seeing companies settle into a 3-2 or 4-1 situation. And some of the power and leverage in those situations is moving back to the employer. So whereas a year ago and a year and a half ago, job seekers were continuing to have demands around remote work and hold tight to those demands, we're seeing companies settle on their strategy and decide, hey, this is what we need from folks before they hire, and then that's driving their hiring. And the last thing I would say, we do see a lot of and hear a lot of curiosity around AI. I think we're not quite at the point where companies are settled on any kind of strategy or buying technology, but there's a lot of curiosity around that and exploration, and companies continuing to maybe revisit that build versus buy scenario in areas like e-discovery, contracts management. So there's starting to be some discussion around that. We're not seeing a lot of technology purchases necessarily, but some assessment of where companies are at with that. So it's an active market. It is a good market for our interim business, and we're seeing a lot of activity and more of an anticipation of, hey, are there going to be rate cuts? What's coming next? The election is obviously hanging out there, so we'll continue to monitor and continue to keep you updated. Thank you.